What is going on, Jet fans? Matt O'Leary back with another video. Today, I got a really exciting video for you. It's NFL Draft Week, and I am joined by Jake Asman to give you a full preview of the NFL Draft for the New York Jets. Let's get into it. All right, I'd like to welcome on Jake Asman on the show, joining us. Jake, how's it going, my friend? Happy Draft Week.
Happy Draft Week, Matt. Always a pleasure to join you in a few short days. Hopefully it's a pleasure to watch whatever the heck the Jets do in this year's draft.
Absolutely. It feels like we were just talking before, actually hitting the record button. We've talked through a bunch of different scenarios on what the Jets will actually do on draft night, just a few days away. We'll get into all that, but I know you're doing something exciting for draft night on night one. So wanted you to let us know what's going on Thursday night.
I appreciate it. So I'm doing a draft party with Fireman Ed. It will be at Clinton Hall in New York City. We still got some tickets left, so if any of your listeners out there are in the tri-state area, Clinton Hall is located right near Penn Station, right near Grand Central, so easy to get to if you take the train in, and it's going to be a great night. I mean, we're going to have the draft on the speakers. If you're a Knicks fan like I am, Game 3 will be going on, so we'll show the Knicks on some of the TVs as well. I mean, we got Fireman Ed leading the Jet Chant all night. I'll be going live from there. Breaking down whenever the Jets do at pick 7. So should be fun. If you get a ticket, you're automatically entered in a big raffle we're doing that night where we have a ton of prizes like signed items from Sauce, Jermaine Johnson, Garrett Wilson, Aaron Glenn, and a bunch of Jet legends like Joe Klecko, Nick Mangold, so on and so forth. So I'm excited about it. I've never done a draft watch party. We know the draft and Jet fans is like synonymous with craziness. So it should be a lot of fun. So if any of your listeners want to go, I basically have posted the link everywhere, but it's on my social media. Just click the link in the description and you'll be able to lock in your ticket.
Absolutely. It's going to be a great night. Are we going to get a surprise on night one? Like, you're going to be sitting there with your group, and do you think we're going to get an outside the box pick? Or, right now, where's your head at? Is it going to be one of those Warren Membu kind of chalky picks from the Jets?
The New York Jets select defensive end Shamar Stewart. I mean,
see it now. I can see it now.
I hope not. I do think there is a possibility of them either trading out of 7. And I also think, just kind of reading through the tea leaves that's been put out there this week, Mason Graham might be there at 7. And while a few months ago he was thought to be a player that would make a ton of sense for the Jets, I think a lot of people have shifted their focus elsewhere. Maybe if he's there at 7, they might say, look, between him, Membu, or Warren, if all 3 are available, Graham might be their top-rated player. So if they want to stay true to their board, they might just take Mason Graham and call it a day. But if that doesn't happen, I still would be surprised if it's not Armand Membu or Tyler Warren, unless they trade back. And then obviously that could change a lot.
Yeah, and for me, I think, and I have two different answers here. What I want the Jets to do and what I think they would do. I kind of want to feel where you're at. I know you just said Armand Membu. I agree with you. I think that's going to be the pick on night one of the NFL draft. But if it was up to me, I would draft Tyler Warren. I just absolutely love his game. I think he would be someone who could really impact this offense. They have a huge need at pass catcher. Is Membu like your guy, or do you have someone that you'd actually like to see, although you might think they're going to actually go Armand Membu here?
I would prefer Tyler Warren. I'm team weapon. Now, I'm not sitting here saying that Warren doesn't have his flaws or there's not a risk in taking a tight end that high, even if Brock Bowers was awesome last year, but it doesn't feel like it's the wide receiver draft to take one at 7. So I'm not going to reach on a wide receiver just because that guy plays wide receiver. Like, to me, Tyler Warren is deserving of being a top 7 pick. It wouldn't be a reach if they took him there. And since I'm leaning with getting Fields a weapon for this offense, I would go with him. I also wouldn't have an issue, though, with Armand Membu. I understand the logic in selecting him. I just get very nervous when it comes to this franchise, then having to pivot to the 2nd and 3rd round in all likelihood, Matt, and trying to hit on a wide receiver or a tight end. I mean, I don't want to go down the list, but it brings you back to the nightmares of, Jason Morrow and Denzel Mims and Elijah Moore and Stonehand Stephen Hill. It's like it's a new regime and it's a clean slate for them, but that's the risk you run if you don't get the weapon at 7. You're going to be likely trying to do it on day 2, day 3. And the Jets' history in the last 20 years is abysmal. I mean, you got to go back to Jericho Cotchery, Lavernius Coles, the last time they really hit on like a mid-round wide receiver?
It's very rare, unfortunately, and they've taken a lot of swings. Some of the guys you just ran through, and guys that I liked, I thought Denzel Mims was going to be a good player. I thought Elijah Moore was going to be a good player for the Jets, and clearly none of those guys worked out here, at least in New York. And what's funny to me is and I'm sure you got it last year, right? Like the Bowers versus the offensive line argument from a year ago, and how that's still a talking point a year later. And people are going, well, you passed on Bowers, who's the better prospect a year ago. You can't possibly take Tyler Warren now in the first round. I wanted to see if you could speak to that narrative and if it's something you think holds any weight.
Yeah, I think what people need to remember is the Jets were in a different spot than they were a year ago. Like they were coming into a year where the expectation was to win the Super Bowl. The expectation was you're trying to be one of the best teams in the league. But to do that, you had to protect a quarterback who was coming off an Achilles injury at age 40. And the guys you signed to try and do it were major injury risks, as it proved to be true. We didn't know Tyron Smith was just washed, but we knew that there was a chance he wasn't going to make it through 17 games. That'd be a huge outlier if he did. And Morgan Moses was also coming off a year in Baltimore where he was banged up. So I understand Bowers was great, but Olu Fashanu, when he went out there and played, he was awesome too. He gives you stability at a premium position. And if Olu was in this draft class, he'd be the first tackle off the board. He'd go number 4 to New England. So I think people need to take a step back and realize that Bowers is awesome. You can't take away what he did, but that doesn't mean the Olu pick was incorrect. Fast forward a year later, Matt, this is a Jet team that needs a weapon. And there's no Malik Neighbors there for them or Brian Thomas Jr. there for them in this year's class. So every draft's different. You got to take advantage of how the board plays. So to me, if you actually use some nuance here and break it down, logically, it makes sense to say last year we needed a tackle. This year we need a weapon. Best weapons, Warren. He happens to be a tight end. And, oh, yeah, since you have a left tackle, maybe you don't view right tackle as much of a premium position type of need in the top 7. Maybe you could do what a lot of other teams do and find a tackle in the 2nd or 3rd round and go from there.
I'm with you 100%. And you look at last year's draft in the first round, 9 offensive linemen went. It was a very strong top half of the draft for offensive linemen. The Jets got in on that, and I think found their left tackle of the future. So I was a big fan of that move a year ago. But now, like looking at it this year, there's not going to be 9 offensive linemen going in the first round. That's not the same quality of player. I think Olu, as you mentioned, would be the number 1 offensive tackle taken off the board if he was in this year's class. And like, I get it. People are going to get caught up on, tight end in the top 10. Is that really such a pressing thing for this team? But then you look at the depth chart and you have 2 guys who have never really started at this level before in Stone Smart and Jeremy Ruckert. Like, I know we love the Ruckert story, local kid, grew up on Long Island, huge Jets fan, but neither one of those guys have proven anything to be a true number 1, where at least I'm not saying that I want at right tackle Chuck Okorafor to be the starter, but they have someone there who has starting experience. They don't have that in the tight end room.
I agree. And look, I also think when you look at the state of the Jets offensive line, if you have 4 pretty good starters and your right tackle is not great, with good coaching and a quarterback who's mobile like Fields, you should be able to overcome that, Like, it should not be a complete debacle if 4 of your 5 guys are pretty good, if not very good. Like, Olu, to me, is a ascending star level tackle. Tippmann, I think, is very, very good. AVT and John Simpson are very good, to maybe even better than that, with AVT a year removed from his Achilles injury going into a contract year. That should be enough if you get league average right tackle play. Like, no one's saying the Jets are going to start Wayne Hunter out there if they pass on Armand Membu. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, you have a mobile quarterback. You have 4 of your 5 guys in place. You should be okay if you go weapon over right tackle at pick 7. You should be able to find an answer to right tackle, either already in-house on the team. You brought up a name from the guy they signed from New England and before that Pittsburgh. Or maybe it's smokescreen, AVT's the right tackle. We'll find a guard on day 2 and plug and play someone there. That also could be an option for them as well.
I'm with you. Now, Adam Schefter floated a name out there today for the Jets in round 1 that I don't think we've discussed for a second. So I wanted to get your thoughts on the Jahdae Barron rumor. Are you putting any stock into that? That feels like way out of left field. Would be pretty shocking if he was the pick at 7 for me.
I'm pulling up my Dom C draft guide, and he's
Love it.
Dom's fourth rated corner. So I don't like that at 7. That would not be good if just based on the value here in Dom's draft guide. I mean, I know Albert Breer, I think last week mentioned him as a name to watch. I don't see it at 7. If they trade down, could he be in play? Sure. I think that opens up a lot of different players if you're moving back. But at pick 7, I need someone that's coming in, that's starting right away, that's a sure thing. If they took this corner, would he start over Stevens, who they paid a lot of money to, and obviously Sauce on the other side, and Michael Carter? Wouldn't make sense to me. So I'd be shocked if this was the pick at 7.
I'm with you on that. I know you mentioned Mason Graham as a potential name that's not, one of the big two in Tyler Warren or Armand Membu, but outside of Graham and Barron, like, is Shamar Stewart an option for the Jets in the first round? If there was another outside the box answer, who do you think it could potentially be?
I think Ashton Genty's more of an option than Shamar Stewart, because they might just say best player available. He's our third best player in the draft, and we're getting him at 7. And maybe they trade Brees, or maybe they're like, our offense is going to be dynamic on the ground. We could run the ball and have Brees and Genty lead us. I would be surprised, but I think that to me would at least make a little more sense if you're playing the board than Shamar Stewart. I can't get behind a guy who feels like it's drafting Vernon Golston all over again. Like, he might be awesome for someone else. I don't need the Jets to take that risk with the first pick of a brand new regime.
Now, a big talking point as well in this draft is quarterback, because we don't know if Justin Fields is the long-term answer or not. They, signed him to a 2-year contract. You have some Jet fans who would like the team to take a swing at quarterback at some point. For me, where I am, I don't think this is necessarily a draft where you have to take a quarterback. I don't think it's a very strong class outside of Cam Ward. But also, I'd kind of rather just build out the roster. And if for whatever Justin Fields doesn't, work out this year, worry about quarterback in the 2026 draft. Where do you stand on the quarterback discussion?
The earliest I would take someone would be day 3. I forget who said this. It might have been Nick Shine on either my show or when I went on his show. But it was a funny line. It's like, I don't want the Jets to take a quarterback if the sun is not out. You know what I mean? Like, if the Jets are going to take a quarterback and it's nighttime, no, don't do it night 1. Don't do it night 2. You want to do it on day 3 when the sun is out? That's a different conversation. I just think they have too many needs. The way they've operated in free agency, pick 7, 42, and 73, at least 2 of those picks got to be starters, it feels like, right away. And the last one by the end of the year probably is a starter for you, or will be a starter going into year 2. Now, if you love a quarterback and you believe in a guy, fine. You better be right, though, because they are basically being afforded the opportunity to punt on quarterback for a year and see what they have with Fields. If you're going to take someone earlier than the 4th round, like, that to me is a pretty big risk. Now, it wouldn't stop you from doing it again in the first round in 2026, but still, it's a waste of a premium asset, like a top 3 pick, top 73 player. That's valuable. So if they want to roll the dice on someone in the 4th round and beyond, I can't be upset if they take Will Howard or Kyle McCord or insert whichever quarterback flavor you like. I just wouldn't do it in the 1st round, and I really would not do it in the 2nd or 3rd round either.
Yeah, those top 75 picks, like, you should be getting someone, especially at 7, they have to be obvious starter right away for you. 2nd round, you're hoping is a starter as well. But even in the 3rd round, you need someone who can contribute right away. And I don't think, drafting a quarterback, whoever it is in the 3rd round, whether it be like, I don't know, Jalen Milroe falls, for example, just using that for argument's sake, that's not really helping you build out your team in 2025. So that's not the route that I would take either. We talked a lot about 1st round options for the Jets, and I think most are agreeing that it's going to be one of Membu or Warren. What does that then mean for day 2? Obviously, contingent on who is the pick in the 1st round, but it could be players, it could be positions. What do you think is happening in rounds 2 and 3 on night 2?
If they take a tackle at either offense or defense on night 1, they have to get pass catchers on night 2. That could be tight end. That could be receiver. To me, let's say they take Membu at 7, because I agree with you. I think that would be the pick I have them making. They take Membu at 7. I feel like pick 42 has got to be the best available pass catcher, whether that be Mason Taylor, let's say, who's a tight end, or a different tight end they have highest on their board, or whether it be Jaden Higgins or a different wide receiver. Whoever they have the highest rated, 42 to me needs to be a pass catcher. And if they don't do pass catcher at 42, then I feel like it's got to be an offensive lineman if maybe they did pass catcher at 7 in the case of Tyler Warren, who happens to also be a tight end. So it's weird. I can't remember a Jet draft where I really feel like what they do at 7 means they're going to do something at 42 that's directly related to 7. Like I can't remember a draft that feels kind of this connected. So I think so much of what they do at 42 and 73 for that matter is based on the initial pick at number 7, assuming they make that pick.
I'm with you on that. And this is where I start to worry a little bit. And not that, in the second round, you can't find a good player. I'm just going to throw a scenario out there. Let's say it's Membu in the first round. And then in the second round, Tyleek Williams, like a really good interior defensive lineman. And you go, all right, we're going to build through the trenches. That's our identity, right? Like you want to have a strong offensive line, strong defensive line. Then I'm sitting there still on day 2 because you have you have a pick in the third round going, well, you haven't figured out wide receiver yet. You haven't figured out tight end yet. And asking someone on day 3 to come in and be a contributor right away, which I think they need at both the tight end and wide receiver spot, is a really tough ask. So then it's kind of like, well, now what?
Right. It's just they put themselves in the spot though by choice. Like they've gone out there and have operated free agency where they signed a lot of guys to 1-year deals and basically said we're going to try and get younger and we're going to hit on picks in the draft. Like I heard Aaron Glenn say that we like the roster and we're on to the draft. Darren Muji spoke earlier today and said he feels great about where the roster's at. I don't know how you could, given some of the holes. I get that that's what they got to say publicly, I suppose. But, I mean, they really can't even fill every hole in this draft. It's just not realistic. So value the premium spots and value what will maybe be able to unlock your quarterback. Like, you want Justin Fields to be the guy. Aaron Glenn says we're going to let him play quarterback. I think he's about to break out. You got to help him. So, to me, if they went offense their first 3 picks, I'd be on board with that. That, to me, makes sense when you look at the defense, still having a lot of really good players, defensive head coach, experienced defensive coordinator, and Steve Wilkes. Like, even if they don't add to the defense with the first 3 picks, you should be able to figure it out when your starting point is Quinnen Williams, 2 guys that are 10-sack-a-year players in Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald, all-pro linebacker in Quincy, ascending young star in Sherwood you brought back, former all-pro corner in Sauce, who now I think should get back to being Sauce with Glenn here. Michael Carter's a really good player. You spent big on Stevens. You're telling me you think you can coach him up. Like, how many defenses have that much talent? They have a lot of talent. Like, they don't have, like, this is not, Salah's first year where they were the worst team in the league on defense. That should be enough. So the focus for me in this draft should be offense early and often.
I'm with you. If it was up to me, in whatever order you want to do it, first 3 picks, right tackle, tight end, wide receiver. That's what I'd be targeting with the Jets' first 3 picks. But as we know, there are more needs than just that. And I think, unfortunately, there's going to be positions that are left out for the New York Jets in this draft, right? Like, on defense, it'd be nice to get, maybe a couple interior defensive linemen to add depth, or another edge rusher, because there's not really an edge 3 on this roster, because Michael Clemens is filling that role right now. I don't know how you feel about the safety spot, but that's another potential place that the Jets can go. It doesn't necessarily have to be players, but we kind of established first 3 picks, you want to go offense. What's the plan then after that? What positional groups are you going? I can't come out of this draft without addressing this on the defense.
I feel like safety could be a sneaky need for them, and maybe there's some value there. If they don't take Graham at 7, defensive tackle feels like it's the deepest position group maybe in the entire draft. So I would wait on interior defensive line. I'm just looking at like Dom's draft guide here, and like he's got 21 players that have a grade either on the 1st through 5th round, which tells me you could find a starting level player that probably has a 3rd or 4th round grade on day 3, because you're not going to have that many players all drafted before the 5th round. I think there's value there if they wait. Safety continues to me to be a need. Just look at how they've addressed the position. You got guys on 1-year deals like Tony Adams, and then they signed Cisco in free agency to a 1-year deal. So that's a position of need. And then, look, edge rusher. Jermaine's coming off the injury. We don't want Michael Clemens to ever have to play. If they could address edge at some point, that's a position to watch as well.
Yeah, I think both of those spots are key highlights. I agree with you. I think I'd rather go safety before defensive line, just because of the drop-off level. Like, you get past maybe a Kevin Winston in the 3rd round out of Penn State, and I think you're really grasping at straws to try to find someone who could start at strong safety. Because I think both Cisco and Tony Adams are more free safeties. So they don't really have a strong safety on the roster where on the interior defensive line, you should be able to find someone who can be an early downs run stopper in the fourth, fifth round. And again, you're talking value here, which is important. If you're going to fill a lot of holes, you got to be able to, look at other Jets draft classes. So the one I keep pointing to for this year is the 2006 draft class, where they found a couple studs at the top of the draft, as we know, but then got contributors down the rest of the board.
100%. And that to me is really the key to this team being better than what the win total projects, right? Like that 06 Jets team, they weren't supposed to be very good. First year coach and Eric Mangini. Pennington was coming off another injury plagued season. Herm was there and they got rid of him. They won 4 games and, they bounced back in 06, win 10 games and go to the playoffs. If Aaron Glenn wants to get this team to the playoffs, there's got to be some major contributors that come from this draft class. And that's exactly what happened in 2006 with the famous DeBrickashaw and Nick Mangold class. But then you also got some other players like Brad Smith and Leon Washington that all contributed from that team. That to me is really the key for the Jets. No one's saying they got to hit on every pick, but you got to come away from this draft with multiple players that are helping you win now and going forward.
Absolutely. It's going to be really interesting to see the route that they go, because it's not like one set. You're going into the first round and they desperately need this position. Like there's been years where, 2020, you knew they were taking an offensive lineman in the first round, or 2021, you knew they were going to take a quarterback. It was just kind of which one. And then we all figured out, Zach Wilson was going to end up being the pick. It's going to be interesting on our end on draft night. I know you'll be at your party, but at the Talking Jets live stream, I'm just hoping we don't get some sort of Will McDonald like pick where you get just that all-time reaction from the three of us.
What? Who? It's just that's a wild one, man. And I think part of our reaction to that pick, so much focus was on Aaron Rodgers and that trade. Like that was the least I think I ever paid attention to the draft leading up to it as a Jet fan in my life, because it was all about Rodgers every day. Like even when he said he wanted to be a Jet, then there was a month of when's the deal going to happen. So it was just crazy. And then McDonald out of nowhere, which, to be fair, he's actually a pretty good player. And that's why you just, I guess, never know in the draft. But if they take like Shamar Stewart or this corner from Texas, oh my God, the reaction's going to be even crazier than Will McDonald, just because of how heightened this draft is and how much more time we've spent talking about these guys.
Absolutely. I'm really looking forward to it. Jake, one more time, where can people find tickets?
People can get tickets linked in the description to any YouTube video I basically have posted on my channel the last month. It's on Instagram at Jake Asman, Twitter at Jake Asman. Check the link in the bio. All you need to do is enter your name, your email. It will take you to the website where you hit purchase on your general admission ticket. You're automatically entered in that raffle, and you get a complimentary drink with your ticket as well. So hopefully a bunch of Jet fans will join us. We're going to have like close to 200-something people there. It's going to be awesome. I can't wait. And, man, they got to get this right, Matt. Draft week, got to get it right.
Got to get it right, indeed. That'll do it for us. Thank you so much for tuning in. Leave a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. For Jake Asman, I'm Matt O'Leary. We'll catch you next time.